Hello and welcome to Philosophy/Theatre 372, Philosophy in Film. I'm Simon Cushing. I will be the professor in charge of this course, which is being taught online in fall 2019 for the first time, as far as I know. It has been taught before, but not by me and not online. So a lot of firsts here. I'm just going to tell you the basics in this introductory video, and then more stuff will be in later videos. So here we go. First thing to note is that your grade is broken down into 4 different kinds of assignments. For the first unit, which actually is unit 0, the introductory unit, that's going to be different from the other 7 in a couple of ways. First of all, it's only going to be a week long, so it's only going to last until the end of this first week. And second, it's only going to consist of 2 of the types of assignment. So these are the first 2 types. The first of which is called the Film Forum. Now, if you look at the buttons on your left over there, you will see, well, they're not buttons anymore, actually, because they've just updated Blackboard and I've lost that option. But the menu options on the left of your screen as you look at it, they go from announcements, which is obviously the default setting, and you should see this in. Faculty contact, that's me. You'll see my email address. If you ever have questions, email me. I read my email all the time, so you should get a prompt response. Course information, that's very important. That's the first place you should go after watching this video. It will describe in a lot more detail what I'm saying now. And then Film Forum below that. And Film Forum is the first of the 4 types of assignment. And what that entails is it's a discussion board, and for every unit, of which there's going to be 8, including this introductory unit, you will be required to make 2 posts, count them, 1, 2, on the Film Forum. One of which will be your own answer to one of the questions that I pose in each unit's forum. And the other will be a response to somebody else's post. Now, obviously, if you're the first person making a post, there's nobody that you can respond to, and you shouldn't just respond to yourself. So the first person makes a post that answers one of my questions, and then that person will have to come back later to make a response to somebody else's. More details in that under course information, okay, above Film Forum. So the kind of questions that are going to be on the forum are about the movies that you will have watched for that unit. For an example, let's look at Unit 0, which is one of the menu options a little further down. I'm probably not pointing to it with my thumb, but you know, it's below course information a bit. It will say Unit 0, parentheses, introduction. And that's going to be our first week as we ease into the class. So the movies for Unit 0, as you will see once you click on that button, which will be the second thing that you click on after watching this video, you have a choice of a pair of movies. You can watch all 4 movies if you like, but you have to at least watch 2 members of a pair of movies. And they're grouped according to one of them is a remake, an English language remake of the other, which is the original. So the 4 movies in this unit are Yojimbo, which is a classic samurai movie containing my pick for the greatest film star of all time, Toshiro Mifune, and directed by one of the all-time great directors, Akira Kurosawa. And this is a movie about a lone samurai played by Mifune, who comes into a town which is divided with warring factions, and he plays one side off against the other. And it's a great movie. Then the second in that pair is another great movie in a different way called A Fistful of Dollars, a lot of you may have seen this before. It's got an awesome theme tune by Ennio Morricone. I'm not used to this system. There he is. And it stars Clint Eastwood as the man with no name. The most famous outing of Clint Eastwood playing this role is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is the third of the trilogy. This is the first of the trilogy, and little known fact, it's actually a remake of Yojimbo. You'll see when you watch both of them, if those are the ones that you watch, that the plots are very similar. The other pair that you have the option of watching are a Hong Kong movie called Infernal Affairs, which is a pun on hell and internal affairs, and you'll see why when you watch the movie, which was remade a few years after that in the early aughts by Scorsese as The Departed, which of the four movies I would imagine that's the one you're most likely to have seen. Starring, you know, a who's who of Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and in one of his last roles, because he's pretty much retired, Jack Nicholson. And actually, Marky Mark, as I like to think of him, Mark Wahlberg is in it too, and Alec Baldwin and Vera Farmiga. It's just packed with familiar faces. And that's, little known fact, a remake of Infernal Affairs. Quite a close remake, except he made it a lot longer, as you'll see if you watch those. All right, so in Unit 0, you have to watch at least 2 of those movies, and the challenge is to work out what you think about sequels. Sorry, not sequels, remakes. It's not a sequel, it's a remake in each case. And the questions on the film forum will be about this, as you can see if you go and look at Unit 0. So that'll be the topic for Unit 0. It's as it say, it's going to ease you in so that you work out how to use the film forum. And the second of the 4 types of assignment you will also have to do for this unit, which is the write-ups. And the write-ups, whereas the forums are more going to be, you're going to express an opinion and defend it, or you're going to respond to somebody else's opinion, the write-ups are more strictly informational. They're just to prove that you've actually watched the movies and, you know, not been asleep while you were watching them, so that you understood them, you noticed lots of details, you can say informative things about the movie, you can name characters, that kind of thing. So the write-ups are going to, there's always going to be a question. It's not going to be just summarize the movies that you watched. There's going to be a question that sort of structures your answer to the write-ups. But that's the other element that you're going to have to do in Unit 0. So both of those are just to do with movies, because the difference between Unit 0 and the other units, which are not available yet, well, if you're watching this movie on the first day, the Monday, they're not available yet. The other 2 assignments, which are quizzes and papers, are going to be on the philosophical readings, as well as the movies. And there aren't any philosophical readings for Unit 0, for the introduction. It's just strictly watching movies and talking about them. But for the other units, there's going to be philosophy articles or snippets from articles or sections from books that I will put in PDF form underneath each unit. So when you click on the unit again on the left of the screen, it'll include the movies that you have to watch and the readings that you have to do for that unit, as well as all the assignments for each unit. So the 2 assignments are quizzes, which are going to be, the quiz is going to be in every unit. There's going to be a 20-question quiz where the questions are chosen randomly from a pool. The pool won't be that much larger than 20 questions. But you will have to answer 20 questions about the readings, again, to prove that you've done the readings and understood them. Now, the questions, their job is just to make you, to be only answerable by someone who's actually done the readings. I know that it's very tempting, particularly for online classes, just to look at the questions and then Google the answers. My job is to try and make questions that it's very hard to do that. And sometimes the questions will seem to be a bit kind of pedantic or nitpicky, like what was the name of that particular character or something like that, or what was the example used by such and such. Maybe even I'll talk about page numbers. So that it's going to be definitely hard to answer the quizzes without actually doing the reading. So the quizzes are going to be to make you do the reading, and then the paper topics are going to be you discussing the reading and bringing in the movies to aid your discussion. So with the further units, units 1 through 7, there will always be movies to watch, probably always at least 2 and maybe up to 4 movies to watch. And I intend for you always to have a choice. So I will give you a larger range of movies and you won't have to watch all of them, although of course you're perfectly free to watch all of them. And they will all be great movies, because I'm not gonna make you watch a crappy movie on this course. There are so many awesome movies to watch. And some of them you will have seen already, so that'll be great. But each section will have movies that are at least tangentially relevant to the reading and the topic. Unit 1, that I'm just finishing up and will be posted soon, is going to be on punishment and revenge. And there's an awful lot of movies relevant to that. And there will be philosophical articles. So one movie I know for sure is going to be included in this is A Clockwork Orange. That's the other thing. Clockwork Orange contains some nasty scenes. If you haven't seen it, it was actually banned in my native country, England, for a very long time. All of my youth, it was impossible to see A Clockwork Orange in the United Kingdom because the director, the great Stanley Kubrick, withdrew it from circulation after there were some copycat acts of violence that sort of done by people dressed in the distinctive styles of the movie. And there's a rape scene. It's got some disturbing stuff in it, but it's making a serious point, and it is a great movie. So I'm gonna probably require that you watch that, but I do alert you that there are some scenes in that. But in general, I will try and make it so that I'm not asking you to watch stuff that is just horrible to watch. I mean, there are some movies that have their defenders as great movies that are just really hard to watch, contain really nasty scenes, and I'll try not to require those movies. Occasionally, it'll be worth it, particularly if the topic is a discussion of whether or not the movie is justified in showing such things on screen, which is an interesting philosophical question. Is it ethically justified? Is it just prurient? Is it actually in claiming to condemn the violence on screen while actually showing it? Is it being hypocritical? That might be a topic for later units, but in general, I'll let you know if the movie contains nastiness. So the papers, you will have to answer. You are required, as part of your grade, to write 3 papers, each of which is going to be worth 10% of your grade. But there will be paper topics on each of units 1 through 7, so that you could, in theory, write 7 papers. That would be actually pretty wise of you, because I will count the best 3, and if it takes you a while to improve, you could drop your early grades where you were still getting the hang of this paper writing thing and get, just count your 3 best paper grades. But you will have to do a quiz on every single one, and you will have to do a write-up on every single unit, and you will have to do a film forum on every single unit, as is explained in more detail under course information. I think that's it. As I said, at the moment, there's only one unit visible, which is Unit 0, the introduction, which is about remakes. Go there now and start watching the movies. Oh yeah, one more thing. There are not books to buy for this class. All the readings will be provided in PDF form. I will scan them and put them online for you. So you will have saved money that you can spend on buying the movies. If you look in Unit 0, I have provided you a range of links. You can find the movie yourself. You could buy the movie on DVD, on Blu-ray. Maybe you have it. Maybe your local library has it on DVD or Blu-ray. That's always worth looking into. A lot of libraries have very good selections of movies. There's also something called Canopy, which you will see at least 2 of the movies. No, it might just be one of the movies in Unit 0 is available through Canopy, which is free. It's a streaming service that is connected to your local library, in this case the Library of University of Michigan Flint, and Yojimbo for sure is available for free through that. So that's nice. You get that movie for free. And there's The Departed is available on Netflix. So if you already have Netflix, you can watch that for free. The other 2 were not available for free on legal sources. I mean, I know that kids nowadays are able to find anything for free on the dark web. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to recommend doing that because I don't want to be responsible for the FBI breaking down your door. But however you find the movies, it's up to you. I do recommend watching them in as good quality as possible, just for your enjoyment's sake. I mean, a lot of these movies you can find on YouTube in full, but to avoid getting taken down for copyright infringement, they've done weird things with them, like they've mirror imaged them, or they've set them at an angle and got a picture of a movie theater, so you're just seeing the actual movie at a slight angle on one side of the screen. You can find, for example, Yojimbo like that on YouTube. Don't watch the movie like that. I mean, you're taking this class presumably because you like movies. Don't ruin your enjoyment by watching a crappy version. So I would recommend shelling out the money. You know, it's either $2.99 or $3.99 for just about everything on Amazon or on iTunes, or there's something called Vudu, V-U-D-U, or YouTube Premium. You can buy it through YouTube. In fact, I think one of the movies no, it's not The Departed because that's on Netflix, but yeah, I know, it's The Searchers, which is going to be coming up in Unit 1. That's only available through YouTube Premium. Amazon didn't have it for some reason. But all of them, they either cost $3 or $4 to rent. If you like it, you have to pay more to buy it, but you only have to rent it for this class. So that's going to be where the cost comes up that you didn't have to spend on the books. But luckily, unlike with textbooks, you can spread it out throughout the class. So, you know, you have time to earn some money by doing Lyft or Uber for each unit, so you can pay as you go. All right, I hope you will enjoy this class. One more thing that I mentioned in the course information, there are 2 ways to do this class. Well, at least 2 ways to do this class. One is philosophy through film, and there's a lot of textbooks that do that, which essentially just teaches introduction to philosophy with the usual Philosophy 101 topics, all of which are good, and then just picks movies that illustrate this. The movies tend to be not of the best quality. They tend to be kind of blockbustery or genre stuff. I mean, I love those movies, like, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Total Recall is a popular one, or The Matrix, or stuff like that. Those are always used in those kind of textbooks. There's going to be a few sections like that, but I'm going to try and use not the most obvious ones. Clockwork Orange is kind of an obvious one, but it's also a great movie and a great book. So I'm going to do a few sections like that. And in fact, we're going to begin with a few sections like that, where it's sort of driven by the philosophical topic, and then the movies are chosen because they're good illustrations of the topic. But the other way to teach this class is philosophy of film, where then we're asking philosophical questions about film and filmmaking. And I'm going to get into that in the second half of the class. So you could look at philosophy of certain genres of movie making, like film noir or horror or stuff like that. You know, what are the key elements? What are the stylistic approaches that are useful for this? And there are other philosophical questions that are also interesting about film. The most obvious question is, what makes something a film? What is it that something has to have to count as a film? Presumably this that you're watching now isn't a film. It couldn't be nominated for the Academy Awards or anything like that. But why not? It's a moving image. What is it that is special about film? And there's also the interesting topic of documentaries, because documentaries appear to be a different thing from most films. Why? Because they're supposed to be recording real life, but documentaries are actually incorporate a lot of the methods of the movies. They stage certain things. They ask people to do things twice, so but make it seem like it's a single viewing and stuff like that. What are the ethics of documentary? The other thing is documentaries often record people in horrible circumstances and then don't necessarily help them, people or animals. I mean, I, for example, find it very hard to watch David Attenborough documentaries like Earth or Planet Earth, or I've forgotten the name of his most recent one. There was one very recently that showed a lizard escaping from just thousands and thousands of snakes, and it was like your heart in your throat moment where this baby lizard had to traverse this rocky terrain where there were snakes coming at it from right and left, and it was like an action movie, but it was supposed to be a documentary. To what extent is it justifiable to watch animals suffer and die, for example, and just record that? And this is obviously even more pressing, perhaps, when it's human beings in situations of suffering. So there are very interesting questions to ask, interesting philosophical questions to ask about film itself. And we will get to those in the second half of the class. I hope you will enjoy, and I will talk to you more as the course continues.